feet. Lacazette. Fabulous hit.
Big names, big games. By the way, if you'd like to take part in all the fun and games we're having here, do get in touch via Twitter. That's the hashtag Kelly and Wrighty. Looking forward to hearing your comments. And first of all, from Mario and Julien on what is a really, really special fixture of late, Mario. Just goals galore in this.
Yeah, of course, because you know when you got the two big teams meeting each other, it's just it's just excitement. And any player that gets involved in the games like that, I mean, we're sitting with a guy that has enough experience in those games. So I only got after him, I took a little bit of that taste, and I loved it.
The thing about it is that Arsenal now, Liverpool, the team, you've got to measure yourself against the Liverpool Man City at the moment. This is why it's a really interesting game for Arsenal, because they've got momentum at the minute, Jim. So what you're wanting is them to go there and test Liverpool, especially defensively. Do you know what I mean, Jules? Simply because I believe that there's a fragility there, that they're not quite right yet, Liverpool.
Yeah, you're right. And Arsenal, the last 3 visits, they conceded 3 goals. They lost 3-1, then 4-0, and then 5-1 last year, so it should be 6. You could think maybe...
Don't even say that, don't
Sorry,
joke.
I had to.
This is not the Liverpool that I'm used to. Then in this game, you see how they maneuver themselves and getting back. They just have to get up to speed.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is because they don't look as fluently yet. But this is the beginning of the season. You don't want your team, of course, to be the top in the beginning.
Right.
But you definitely want them to start getting rolling like we are used to seeing them.
Both of these sides have a perfect record right now, but I think most people would expect Arsenal to be more tested in this. Julian, you mentioned the recent results, and the last 6 visits, and the last 4 of which have been under Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool, have been really, really hard for Arsenal. They've really struggled to deal, above all, with the pressure from Liverpool. That high press that Klopp's famous for just seems to send the Gunners into disarray.
Yeah, and I think Unai Emery made a mistake last year in that 5-1 defeat. Going to Anfield, it was his first time there. I think he was still getting used to going away in the Premier League, which is very different than any other leagues. But dropping Lacazette, for example, and putting Aubameyang on his own up front, who didn't get any service, he was far too isolated, hardly touched the ball anywhere. And then if your back four makes mistakes like Mustafi, Kolasinac, Lichtsteiner, and Socrates did as well last season in that game, you give them goals. So it's all about the balance in your team, not playing too deep. And still giving service to your forwards if you want to create something, because we saw Norwich at time in the second half took the game away from Liverpool, which is quite rare to do at Anfield. So there's a way there, but defensively you have to be strong first and foremost.
Are you expecting a similar kind of game this time around from Arsenal?
No, I think that Arsenal now should know that Liverpool, they come out fast. They come out fast. It's for some reason, even against Arsenal, they come out even faster. I think that Arsenal have got to be ready for that. And I think that the midfield, in respect of our midfield now, there's players in there that I feel are more comfortable on the ball. And this is why it's vitally important that Pepe starts and Aubameyang and Lacazette, because if we can then win the ball from Liverpool, or like we're saying, are finding their feet, we might be able to get into the spaces what Trent Alexander may leave, what Robertson might leave, and then all of a sudden you're giving Liverpool a whole different problem, especially if they're playing as high as they've been playing recently.
Yeah, because I think that is the advantage. This game is going to be played on that. Because if you look at Arsenal, doesn't have to make the game. They can allow them to make the game, sit back, and they are the perfect team for a perfect counter-attack. Yeah. If you have so much space in your team, you understand, Pepe comes into a side where he already has 2 forwards that are lightning fast, and then you bring the same ability to that team. So you got 3 forwards now that are creating the same problem than when we were looking at Liverpool. When we looked at Liverpool, Firmino, Mane, and Salah, we always like, oh man, they got it all going. Arsenal could be identical to that setup and making people be worried about them. And 2 teams ago, I feel like just like he said, the space behind the Liverpool defense, that should be exposed by Arsenal if they want to win the game.
We haven't seen too much of Pepe yet for Arsenal, but Julian, you saw a bunch of him last season in Ligue 1, where he had absolutely terrific numbers. What kind of player are we talking about?
Exactly what Mario and Wrighty have described. He has a lot of pace and a lot of skills. We saw the nutmeg against Burnley, for example, which was really sweet if you're an Arsenal fan, but that's why he will take people on. He will have a lot of space to go on the counter-attack and take people on. And I think the Dani Ceballos signing and the Pepe signing especially came from Unai Emery and Raul Sanllehi and people at Arsenal analysing the big games away from home last season where they were not good enough and they couldn't play on the counter-attack, and saying we need to sign players who, when we go to Liverpool or when we go to City or to United, enable us to play on the counter-attack. And Dani Ceballos goes so quickly in transition, so quickly forward, and so does Pepe, that those players are make the team better suited to play that kind of football.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. Dani Ceballos, and as well, it's not just what he does with his feet. It feels almost like he's the leader that they've been lacking in that midfield for a very long time. Is that fair, Ian?
Absolutely fair. And even the goal, what he set up for Aubameyang, I haven't seen Arsenal score a goal like that for a while, where you've got a midfielder that is so close, that goes into a position in the last third, in the defenders' last third there, win the ball for then Aubameyang to take advantage of that. And what else Ceballos gave us was a fluidity and a Cazorla. I mentioned to people, he's comfortable on the ball. He wants to do little shimmies, little turns, and get to attack people. And you're seeing actually Matteo Guendouzi as well now. He's looking more energised because, with all due respect to Xhaka, you know, he does slow it down too much. And Arsenal need to move quicker. You need to get the ball to those three guys quicker. And I totally agree with Julian in respects of Pepe and Ceballos. They're the kind of guys that can win you a game simply because their capabilities and the quality they've got on the ball will then give teams problems away from them, which we didn't do enough of last season.
Okay. Well, confident, you think,
Yes,
Ian?
I do think.
Body language-wise, what's your reading?
I'm quite. He's got to be happy. 2 wins. I don't think Arsenal have done that for many, many years. 10 years. Thank you, Julian. So the fact is that you've got to be going into the game confident,
Right?
And it's got to be a game that the guys are looking forward to play because, like I said, Liverpool are the benchmark, just like City, of where you can be. If you can get something from Liverpool, it's going to give you confidence.
I'm going to ask, how far now do you think Arsenal are behind Liverpool in terms of being actually in there with a shot at the title? Midfield, they've certainly reinforced there. That front three is arguably as good as the Firmino, Mane and Salah triumvirate. Maybe question marks at the back, but what do you think, Mario? How much gap is there between these two?
No, I feel like Arsenal is a team that is the same setup what Liverpool had, right? When Klopp came there, he was building his own team. It took him a little bit more time. And I think Arsenal is identical to that. They now they are bringing the pieces in that will make this a star team again. And I think that's, look, overall as a team, you want it to be great because the more teams are great, the better the league is going to be. And I think Arsenal is one of that. They have the exciting forwards. Now they have a midfielder, even if he's on loan, if they can make a move and really make him a permanent deal, it will be exciting because seeing a player coming to the Premier League, winning a ball the way he won the ball what we just talked about, and then celebrating just because of winning that ball, that shows you how quick he has developed to fit into this league. And that, for me, is exciting because he knows that he has the skill, but does he have the character? He has the character too.
Right. David Luiz's arrival for, what was it, 8 million? 8 million. Could that turn out to be one of the signings of the season, do you think, Mario? What do you see him bringing in terms of composure and an ability to play out through the press?
The way Arsenal plays is all on the ball, right? The comfort zone on the ball. The only question that people might sometimes have is his focus. But when he comes to a team and he's there like the first season and the second season, his focus is on the money. But what he can do, like what we just see now, the delivery and the passing range that he has and possesses, he is the guy that can bring that. And he has enough pace up front, so he can definitely distribute balls that some players couldn't do at Arsenal.
You can see there as well, it's just like the one before. You can see, like, look at his body shape, he's already going. So that's what they've got now. You've got somebody, if they don't put enough pressure on someone like Luiz now, even as deep as he is, this is what he can do. And then you've got guys who are speedy enough. And then you've got Ceballos as well, that they can hit these guys. So now all of a sudden, people are going to have to be aware of David Luiz simply because of his potency as a centre-half that can create. 55 chances he created for Chelsea last season.
Wow.
In this team, he can really cause problems.
Why did they let him go for so little?
Well, there's a few reasons why. The first one was that Frank Lampard told him he was not going to play much anyway, because in the pecking order of centre-backs, Rudiger, Christensen and even Zuma were ahead of him, and he was like, you know, I'm 32. I did sign a new deal back in May, but I didn't think that the new manager in charge would not play me. And Sarri, he signed when Sarri was still the manager at the time. So, and then also I think Chelsea would have rather him not go to a rival and go somewhere else, but he spoke to Peter Cech a lot and he wanted to come to Arsenal and he wanted to bring something to a young dressing room, to be fair, or, you know, an experienced dressing room in terms of winning titles. So I don't think they could have kept him, and I think after everything he did for that club, it was right for Chelsea to let him go even to Arsenal.
I don't think he's that kind of guy as well. If he's not playing, I'm hearing that he's not great in and around Like, you know, I'm not saying that he's disruptive, but he's not one of those players you don't want to be playing because it doesn't give a good atmosphere around the place.
He is a live wire, right? He brings, you just see him when he talks, it's a lot of sunshine, you know, and if it goes well, you have a perfect player in your team. And that's why, and just what you know, like when he doesn't play at Chelsea and he knows that, he's also a player with a track record and says like, I'm too good to sit on this bench. That's what he feels as an individual. And as a player, like our experience, we all you want to be there and do your job. And if you can't do that, you're going to look elsewhere. And that's why the only option was like, and also the development that Chelsea is going through now. They want to give the young boys opportunities. And that is not going to be Luis.
No, that's fair, that's fair. All right then, so Julien's predicting 6 goals for Liverpool. But other people seem to have a cautiously optimistic view about the Gunners' prospects. And as you guys have mentioned, not least because of the space that other teams have demonstrated that you can find behind Trent Alexander-Arnold. Norwich certainly exploited that a lot.
Yeah. But then, James, it comes down to being able to get possession of the ball in the midfield. This is why Ceballos may come in handy now, because if he can then nick the ball off of Liverpool when they're doing their attacks, you know that he's got the capability and the quality to find forwards. This is something that we've got now that I don't think Arsenal had before. And then when you're talking about Liverpool, if they are on the attack and they're in that latter stage of the pitch there, Mario, then Trent's up, you know, Robinson's up. And then you've got Pepe and Aubameyang to maybe go with someone like Ceballos to feed them. It's a whole different proposition of problems Arsenal are able to give to teams, and I'm really excited about it.
You think the boot's going to be on the other foot this time around, Ian?
I just hope so. I just want to be in the fight. I just want Arsenal to be in the fight. You've seen the stats there, 5-1, 3-1, and games where Liverpool are very, very comfortable in them. Right. Just want Arsenal to start to get close in respect of letting Liverpool realise that, yes, we know you bleed. We're going to try and make you bleed as well. Yeah. We can do that.
It's going to be rough.
I hope so.
It's going to be a thriller. All right, excellent.